Hello. So it's time for you to discover who you are. And what I'm going to do today is help you along that journey by sharing with you what I did for me. I'm not saying that it's going to be universally appropriate for everyone, but it may be something that will be of benefit to you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And with me today is Danielle Jenkins, and she's going to go along with me and be your voice for today by asking me questions or responding to some of the things that I say. All right, let's get started. So how did all of this happen? About every 10 years or so, something would happen in my life that would make me go, oh, what the heck? I got to figure out what's going on here. Do I want to do this anymore? Or what am I going to do now? Because life has changed. Life is different. The world is different. And there is no time like today that our worlds are changing. And they're changing every day at a rate like you won't believe. So here's what I suggest might help. At one point in a dramatic time frame in my life, I sat down and I determined everything I knew how to do, and I wrote it down. And then I determined, is it still helping me? Do I still like it? I went through an analysis of me, and there was a discovery that happened, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. So let's go through what I did. Like I said, the first thing I did was on the left-hand side, I put everything I needed to know about who I was. On the left-hand side, I wrote down everything about me. Everything that I had ever learned that I could remember. I made a list. And I made a list of things that even I hated. It didn't matter. I just made that list. If I learned how to dance, I put it down there. If I learned how to draw, I put it down there. It wasn't about what I learned for business. It was just, what did I learn? Period. And then I wrote on the right-hand side, what did I do with those things? How did they morph into something else in my life? So I liked scrapbooks. I am the family historian. Those scrapbooks came in handy. So I had to determine, was I still using what I knew? Why or why not? And so did I still like what I was doing? I considered all of that. So I evaluated my entire life and discovered who I was and what I liked doing. And this is what I suggest that you do. Evaluate who you are, what you've learned, and what you like doing. Now, money is involved as well. So once I put all those things over there that I like doing or that I was still doing, I asked, am I making money doing these things? And I may put a little dollar sign beside them to determine if it was making me money. And I highlighted the things that were making me money that I still liked. Now, there were some things that were making me money, but I didn't like them anymore. So I didn't highlight them. And therein lies the moment where I discovered a little bit more about me. So when you do that, it will then position you to know what you've learned, how you've used it, and what you're still willing to do, what you're still able to do. You will discover you. So what did this look like for me? Well, okay, so on the left-hand side, I have licenses. I mean, I went through getting the life, health, and variable annuities and did well. Okay. I was with the company and in sales, did well. I loved photography from the time that I was a child. But in college, I actually went into the dark room at night. Well, back up. I took pictures of the theater department. Then I went into the dark room at night and mass produced those photographs. So there's some photographs out here that are floating around that exist because I produced them. And I did that because I wanted to pay for this brand new camera that I mail ordered. I still like photographs, but that wasn't the beginning. I realized that I had crawled under my grandmother's bed and pulled out a Have a Tampa cigar box, and it was filled with photographs. That was a clue that I have always liked old documents, old photographs, and old stories. Hold that thought. I've been writing since high school. I wrote poems, or at least I wrote one poem in response to a poem that someone wrote me. The person said, "What is life?" And I was not in agreement with the things that the person wrote. So I responded, "Da da da da, that's life. Da 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 da, that's life." That poem became one of the first poems in a book that I later wrote. I have been speaking publicly since high school. This shy person was asked to give a speech, and because what was going into my ear was the voice of my grandmother and the voice of the people from church, the voice of another grandmother who was a poet, out came this person and the stories and the speech that I was asked to give. Still shy, but I was going on what I had heard, how I had heard them speak, and riding on their confidence. Okay, so I was a good student, and when I was asked to be a part of a programmer training course after I graduated from high school and college, I had no idea what programming was, but I knew I could learn. So I did. And that led to a 20-year career being a programmer, programming analyst, systems analyst, manager, and a manager acting like a director. Now, earlier, while I was in college, I was in theater and dance. So what did I do with that? I portrayed Mary McLeod Bethune. I still use some of those skills. Now, this is an example of what I was talking about. Is it doesn't have to be about career. I like to garden. I grew up in the backwoods of Georgia in a field, and I had my own little garden. So guess what? I still do. I still grow things that are edible. That's what I do. And I've been scrapbooking since I was in high school. And as I said, I became the family historian. And now my company produces legacy walls. And what is that? It is a stationary scrapbook page. That's what it is. That tells a story all day long, every day, to everybody that comes by. So when I look at the right-hand side, I begin to see who emerged from all of those things. I am the CEO of Sula Too, and we make old new in everything we do. We capture, preserve, and present legacy information in any form possible, from publishing your book to ghostwriting your book to creating a video about the history of you or your company, to creating a legacy wall or a live performance about you. That's what we do. That's how I discovered who I am. Because on my chart, I put my name in the middle and realized that those events, those educational experiences led to today. Okay, so that's it. Now, if you want a form or a chart, I'll send you some free forms that you can do it yourself. All you have to do is click the link below and provide your contact information, and you will get one free of charge so that you can discover who you are. Now, there's also a webinar that's going to be conducted soon that will help you transform your business, because I did this with business as well, and there's a little bit more to that. Let me know if that's what you want to do. All right, so to an interactive conversation with Danielle. Danielle, what are your thoughts about all of this?
Well, I just want to know if you can hear me well.
Yes.
Okay, so I think everything is obviously just to see your brain on paper with how you have been able to take self-inventory. A lot of people do not understand that when you want things to happen in your life, it's great to say it, but it's another thing to actually put it on paper. So just looking at how you've organized everything that you were able to just to put into different categories is amazing. And I wanted to ask you, with taking self-inventory, how much did your creative side of who you are play a part in what you do now? Because you also have technical skills with doing managerial things and working with programming. Did any of your creative side from when you were younger and all the things that you did as a young person, or as someone who you were honing your skills, the creativity is what I'm very fascinated by, how that has seemed to play a part in everything that you've been able to do, whether it be something technical or whether it be something strictly creative. Like how did the creativity play a part in taking your self-inventory?
Well, your question reminds me of the chapter in Think and Grow Rich called Imagination.
Yes.
So I had to think of a way to imagine a different me. And I use synthetic knowledge, I guess is what you would call it, by analyzing the existing. But to come up with who I am and what I want to do for the future, then I had to mix in there the things that are yet to be, that I want to be. And, and how do they all fit? Now, this also was important to me because there were times when I would think that, oh my goodness, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, the jack of all trades syndrome. Well, by being able to look at this chart and realize that all that I did fell under one category, and that is telling the story.
Ooh.
Your story. No matter what it is, it's about gathering the story and telling the story. And it may take different forms, but it's the same thing. So all of a sudden, I don't feel scattered. What I feel is each one of those things were the prerequisite for my doing what I do today.
So would you say that after taking the self-inventory of everything and then knowing how to combine, because some people say when you scatter your energy everywhere, you tend to not get as much accomplished. So would you say once you figure out exactly what your skills are and what you can do to combine them, you set a one focus? Or would you say, I would think that if you focus on what your best quality is with everything, which you said is telling the story, would you say that focus is the number one thing? Or how does concentration or focus on one particular overall goal, how does that play into your success and what you're doing?
Yeah. What it means is that okay, now I can give myself a break and say, okay, this is who I am. This is what I do. Let's roll. Let's just roll.
Okay.
Okay. Just make it happen. Because you're no longer trying to justify the fact that you have a right brain or left brain that function together. You know, I am task oriented. I am people oriented. It is who it is. I mean, it is what it is. It is, I am who I am. And so at this point now I can just focus on doing and being and having and moving, focusing on the task at hand, the person at hand.
And I have one more question. So that ties into something, because I was taking notes. I was listening, but I was taking notes as you were writing, and you spoke on imagination, which I don't have to talk about. And also being your authentic self. When I listened to how you were able to navigate back and forth between everything that you represent, what it made me realize is that it's really important to honor who you really are. Like, don't fight the fact that you like animals and you also like to dance.
Right.
Or that you like to be a coder, you like IT stuff, but you also like soca music, or you like to watch MMA fighting. So to own who you truly are and find a way to honor that no matter what, because my thing is a lot of people feel like they can't make money doing what they like to do. I feel like that's what people think.
Mm-hmm.
So they won't necessarily go after their true passion. They'll just settle for getting something that makes money that they kind of like to do. So what I've learned from what you're saying is that it's important to take a self-inventory of everything and see what you like and what doesn't make money, but what you still can do, but also just to, at the end of the day, honor who you really are.
Right.
Because you'll always be able to incorporate those aspects into what you're wanting to do in your purpose. That's what I get from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
that was great. I loved it.
Right. So there you have it. Discovering you by understanding how I discovered me.
Yes.
Take care.
Have a good day.
Yep. Okay, gotta figure out how to stop it.
That was great, Mom.
You liked it, huh?
That was really nice.
Oh, good.
That's just like a link that they can click on if they want to see exactly how you do things. That's
Yeah.
awesome.